E. It was supposed to be a simple family gathering, just a quiet evening with close relatives, but what I discovered that night turned everything I thought I knew upside down. I can still feel the weight of that moment, the breath caught in my chest, my mind racing with disbelief. It's a memory that haunts me, a story that has no end, only an endless loop of questions and emotions that can never be answered. It all started with a single, innocent conversation, a conversation that, in hindsight, I should have never been a part of. But who would have known? How could anyone have predicted that what I thought was a safe space would unravel into a terrifying secret no one was supposed to know? I don't even know where to begin. All I can say is, everything I thought I understood about my family, it was all a lie. The day had been like any other family gathering. The smell of homemade food, the warmth of laughter echoing around the living room, and the familiar faces of the people I grew up with. My auntie, as always, was the heart of the house. I had always admired her for her strength, the way she held everything together. And her husband, well, he was just Uncle Rob to me, a quiet man, seemingly harmless. That's what made it so much harder to believe when I first noticed something was wrong. At first it was subtle. A glance here, a touch there. Nothing overt, but enough to make me question things. It started with the way he looked at me. It was as if he saw me, really saw me, like I was something more than just his niece. I tried to shake it off, convincing myself I was overthinking it. But then came that one evening when everything changed. It happened in the dead of night, long after everyone had gone to bed. I wasn't supposed to be awake, but sleep eluded me that night. And thank God I couldn't sleep, because if I had, I never would have discovered the truth. I had gotten up to grab some water from the kitchen. The house was eerily silent, and I'd been careful not to make any noise as I moved through the darkened hallways. But as I passed the living room, I noticed a faint light leaking from beneath the door to my auntie and uncle's room. I paused, wondering if they were still up, but the voices that followed made my stomach tighten. My aunt's laughter echoed through the walls. It was strange, though. Her laughter was different, not the warm, genuine sound I was used to. There was something in it that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, a laugh that sounded like she was hiding something. And then I heard his voice, low, seductive. But it wasn't the words he was saying that unsettled me. It was the tone, the way he was speaking to her. A chill ran down my spine. I stood there, frozen, barely able to breathe as I listened. I shouldn't have been eavesdropping. I knew that. But curiosity got the better of me, and I couldn't pull myself away. His words were soft, coaxing her into something I couldn't fully understand at first. But as the conversation grew more intimate, I realized what was happening. He was making a move. He was telling her things he should never have said. And I wasn't just hearing a casual conversation anymore. I was witnessing the unraveling of something dark. I wish I'd never heard those words. I wish I could erase that night from my memory. But I can't. What I heard that night still plays in my mind over and over. It's a haunting soundtrack that follows me no matter where I go. The worst part? The worst part was that my auntie didn't shut him down. She didn't push him away. Instead, there was a moment of silence before I heard her voice again, calm, measured, as if she were weighing her options. It was in that moment that I realized something I wasn't prepared to face. My auntie's marriage wasn't what I thought it was. Not even close. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, the blood rushing to my ears. I wanted to leave, to run as far away from that moment as possible, but I was rooted to the spot. It was like I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. My body was paralyzed by the weight of what I was hearing. You might be wondering why I didn't confront them right then and there, why I didn't burst in and demand answers. The truth is, I wasn't ready to face what was happening in that room. And even more than that, I wasn't ready to confront the man I had known as Uncle Rob. The next few days were nothing short of a blur. I tried to go about my life, pretending that I hadn't heard anything, that everything was normal. But how could I? How could I look at my auntie, the woman who had been a second mother to me, and pretend that nothing had changed? How could I share a meal with Uncle Rob without seeing the darkness that lurked beneath his calm exterior? The tension was unbearable. I caught myself studying their interactions more closely, trying to read between the lines, and the more I watched, the more I realized I hadn't just witnessed one moment. It was a pattern, a game that had been played in the shadows for much longer than I had been aware of. I couldn't escape the truth. And soon enough, I realized the truth was only going to get darker. It didn't end there. What I uncovered after that night was even more chilling than I could have ever imagined. The real shock? It was something that had been right in front of my eyes all along. I could no longer ignore the signs. There was more going on than just a few inappropriate words in the dark. Uncle Rob had been manipulating my auntie for years, weaving a web of lies and control that went beyond anything I had ever seen. And my auntie? She was trapped, caught in the web of her own making, unable or unwilling to escape. The more I pieced together the fragments of their marriage, the more I saw how deeply entrenched their dysfunction was. And it wasn't just emotional manipulation, it went deeper than that. I wish I could say I confronted them, that I stood up and demanded answers. But I didn't. What I did instead changed me in ways I'm still trying to understand. I realized that family isn't always what it seems. And sometimes, the people closest to you have secrets that could tear everything apart. That night, I didn't just learn about my auntie's marriage. I learned about myself too. I learned that sometimes the truth is more dangerous than ignorance, and now I live with that knowledge forever haunted by what I saw.